I told them to win the game, you're going to have to be mentally and physically exhausted, to win this football game. Anytime you're in man coverage, they're going to try to pick and rub you. There's going to be gadgets or throwbacks or whatever there may be. Defensively, they're going to do things that are going to force you to think, and Ben and Ryan and make calls. We didn't hand them anything. And that was the one thing that they feast on bad football. We didn't hand them anything, and I don't think our guys spent too much time staring up at those banners.
Mike Vrabel, head coach of the Tennessee Titans, after a 20-13 victory that terminated the Terminator.
Terminated.
And, I'm kind of glad that was a Saturday game, and we had an exciting Sunday game between the Vikings and the Saints, because I'm taking less crap from you today than I thought I was going to take. But I got to give you credit. You were onto it. It wasn't just a guess, like some would brush off a correct prediction. There were some out there who just say, oh, it's just a guess. Well, yeah, it is a guess, but it's an informed guess.
Sure.
And we're compensated in part to provide our takes and make an informed, educated guess / prediction.
Right.
And you focused on the better team regardless of the mystique.
Yes.
And that's what Vrabel did.
Right.
He got his team ready. He knew they were better. He told them how they were going to win, and they went out and they did it.
They did. Played clean football, just like he said, 4 quarters, didn't mess anything up, had a few wrinkles here and there. Tannehill plays smart football for the most part. They took Julian Edelman out of the football game, right? Things we see New England do to other teams. James White had a little more success than I expected. But I think the big thing to me, Mike, that jumps out more than anything, and I know you've heard me kind of like bang the table with this all year long, they're one of the first teams other than the Baltimore Ravens, I feel like, to go, okay, you play a 3-4 defense, and one of your defensive ends, which is like, and the 3-4 defense is like a defensive tackle. It's the Richard Seymour position. It's made for like the hugest human beings on the planet. Richard Seymour was 6'6", 325, 330, like one of those guys you'd walk on the field and go, oh my gosh. The guy playing that position now is Dietrich Wise. He's 270 pounds. And they ran right at him. And to me, that was the thing I would, you've heard me say it. Like, would somebody take advantage of them having 5 linebackers on the field and stop letting them off the hook and trying to throw into these defenses that were made to play the pass? And that's what I think the best thing the Titans did. They were very patient with Derrick Henry, and they bludgeoned him up front and controlled the clock and kept Brady off the field for a lot of the time, and really just played a real clean football game.
182 yards on 34 carries for Derrick Henry, and they really could not stop him, and they knew they weren't going to be able to stop him, and the Titans did what they knew was going to work. 15 passes for Ryan Tannehill, 32 carries for Derrick Henry. Okay.
Yeah.
The key moment in the game, first half, Patriots had the ball first and goal on the 1.
Right.
13 times the Patriots have had first and goal on the 1 in the postseason. This is the only time they didn't score a touchdown on the ground. 12 other times they punched it in.
That was a huge moment in the football game, because you're just going, uh-oh, here we go. Patriots got them in a bad spot. It's 10-7. They're about to make it 17-7. And you're going, Tennessee's not going to be able to throw the football consistently and come back on the Patriots, so this is getting scary. But their first-round pick, Rashad Evans, from 2 years ago out of Alabama, man, did he make some unbelievable plays. The Titans got great size up front. But that's the difference between the Patriots this year. This has been a common thing we've seen, not at the 1-yard line necessarily, but we're used to them, hey, you hold the other team to a field goal, I'm Tom Brady in the offense, we go down and score a touchdown. And they haven't done that this year. In fact, in a lot of the big games, it's been the other way around. The other team scores the touchdown, and they end up kicking the field goal. And that just speaks to some of the problems that the offense has had throughout the year.
How does this happen that they've allowed the cupboard to get so bare at offensive skill, talent, game breakers, right? I mean, they had to have had an inkling Rob Gronkowski was going to go, right? They haven't had a game breaker on the outside. Like, we just kind of shrug at it like, oh, well, it happens, but Bill Belichick's the architect of this roster. Why are we, and you know what, when you have 6 pelts on the wall or pellets on the horse, when you have that much success, you don't get criticized. But I think it's fair to take a step back and say, the mad scientist had a blind spot for his offensive talent this year because he's the guy that put the team together.
Well, maybe it's not a blind spot but it's a lack of a plan, maybe C and D, which we usually see out of New England. They went into the season. They realized they needed help. They got Josh Gordon back, so I think they thought, okay. And then they signed Antonio Brown.
But both guys come with large red
so they didn't play enough. To me, that's where I was saying they didn't get to plan C and plan D. It's kind of like they thought, okay, we got plan B, and we should be okay with Antonio Brown and Josh Gordon. And, of course, yes, they have huge red flags, like you're saying. And there just was no plan of attack after that. And then the Mohamed Sanu trade was a failure. It was. I think we all expected more out of Mohamed Sanu coming from the Atlanta Falcons.
Should have gotten Emmanuel Sanders.
Well, yeah. I mean, yes, no doubt about it. Emmanuel Sanders is clearly more dangerous of a football player than Mohamed Sanu is at this point. And, yeah, I think that, hurt them as far as what they expected out of Sanu. And Sanu really never got indoctrinated into the offense.
I mean, think about it. The Patriots signed Emmanuel Sanders to an offer sheet when he was a restricted free agent several years ago.
Yeah, I was there. I remember.
Steelers matched it, right? Steelers matched it. Then a year later, he was going to sign with the Chiefs, and something happened. He ended up with Denver.
Right.
And the way the trade deadline went down, right, the 49ers wanted
Both
Sanu.
teams wanted Sanu. That's what's hilarious. Yes, my buddy Kyle Shanahan and them, they lucked into the fact that the Patriots traded a second-round pick, and they weren't willing to do it, and it ended up getting them Sanders.
Otherwise, it could have been Sanders in New England, and who knows? Maybe he would have been enough of a difference.
Yeah, well, Sanders still can scare you with the deep threat. I think that's the difference. Like, Sanu has lost his vertical speed to where I think corners play him, and they go, okay, he's not going to beat me deep, so I'm going to play all the underneath routes, and that's a difficult thing to get open with as a receiver when you can't back people off. Sanders can still back people off, and Shanahan runs a number of deep routes, too, to go along with it to where that helps him out. But, yes, they got to go back to the drawing board in New England, definitely. I mean, not that they need to go back to the drawing board. Listen, this is a team that's one or two players away from we're going, they're the best.
And they would rattle off. We could have beaten the Ravens. We could have beaten the Texans. We could have beaten the Chiefs. We could have beaten the Dolphins. I mean, they were in every game.
And then the Brady thing's real, too. Where do we go from here? I don't know. I know we're going to talk about it more later. But, again, was there weapons around Tom Brady? No. Is Tom Brady allowed to make a play, though, without weapons around him? Yes. And Tom Brady doesn't make plays anymore. And I know people are going to go, oh, you're such a hater, Sims, whatever.
I'm waiting for the light.
I know. But, yes, again, if we're going to hold all quarterbacks to the equal standard, again, we saw there's other quarterbacks out there. Yes, he's 42. He's still doing really good things. But he's not doing anything when the team is at an average spot right now that you're going to go, ooh, Brady's got us. He'll carry the squad. No. So if they decide they want to go further with Brady, they got to get him more support because he's just not the player he was 5 years ago where he could say, jump on my back, guys. I got us.
And I think that's going to be a factor in whether or not the Patriots want him. And you could have a split. You could have Bill Belichick wanting to move on. You could have the Krafts wanting to keep Tom Brady. And Robert Kraft told Peter King in his Football Morning in America column that Kraft would prefer that Brady either stay or retire.
Of course.
Obviously, it's the Jim Irsay mindset from 8 years ago. He didn't want Peyton Manning to play for someone else. You don't want that great quarterback to go somewhere else and make you look bad for not having found a way to keep him. And the great competition will be if Tom Brady goes to another team, can he win without Belichick? And can Belichick win without him? And that will be the tiebreaker as to who's more responsible for the 6 championships.
Yeah, seriously. I feel like that's what people are going to base it on.
And I hope it happens.
Well, it has nothing to do with that.
I want chaos.
I
want chaos.
It's more about one person. Bill Walsh retired from the 49ers, and they went 14-2, won the Super Bowl. Joe Montana left the 49ers, and they went to 3 NFC championship games and then won a Super Bowl. Like, we all got to stop putting one person on a pedestal in all of this too much. But either way, shocking. It was almost like it was cool because you're like, wow, Tennessee's going to win this. I also was sad at the end of the game. I can't lie because I was sitting there going, man, is this it? Like, hey, I'm sick of talking about New England too, but it was still special, and you're just wondering, is this the last time we're going to see this dynasty? And like, it's such a, hey, this was a special era in football, the run that Brady and Belichick have made.
It was sad when the Terminator finally did.
It was. You're right. It was sad. It was sad. But I mean, they gave a thumbs up into the lava.
We will be talking later about what Tom Brady may do, what he could do. But Tom Brady and Drew Brees in the same boat, tied together. They both have passed Peyton Manning, all-time passing touchdown mark, and both are due to become free agents, and there's a chance both will be playing for other teams. A long list of veteran quarterbacks available this year in free agency, which may be where the Patriots go. We just don't assume it's going to be Jarrett Stidham.
Yeah, right.
And maybe Bill Belichick wants himself to have one of these young mobile quarterbacks if he can find one. Look at how the young mobile quarterbacks do against the Patriots. Maybe he wants to, if you can't beat him, join him.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Patriots, Brady, I mean, is McDaniels going to be there? Is Joe Judge, the special teams coach, going to be there? I mean, I just feel like it seems like people in the New England organization over the last 2 years realize, ooh, this is the beginning of the end, and they're all trying to find their new separate life going forward here. It just feels like that. I don't know.
And Bill Belichick's not going anywhere.
I know he's still there, but it feels like, okay, the writing's on the wall that at least we're coming to the end maybe of Bill Belichick. Like we're down the home stretch of the last maybe 3, 4, 5 years of his career too. It just feels that way to me.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.